Greetings, everyone. It's Congressman Jamie Raskin coming to you from the Rayburn House Office Building. This is our House Judiciary Committee member briefing entitled Rights, Recourses, and Resources for Department of Justice Employees Targeted by the Trump Administration. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Special thank you to our witnesses who've taken the time to be with us to discuss the profoundly disturbing sequence of events that has unfolded over the last 11 days. It's no secret that Donald Trump and his billionaire oligarchs want to dismantle the essential functions of the federal government that they cannot directly profit from in bloated government contracts or pay off policy favors to foreign kings and dictators that will be repaid handsomely once they leave office, or maybe even before they leave office. Trump ran on deconstructing the deep state, dismantling the administrative state, discrediting agencies, and demonizing, vilifying, attacking, and even doxing millions of federal workers who've devoted their lives to serving the American people. They have targeted the professional civil servants like NIH medical researchers, air traffic controllers, letter carriers, Social Security caseworkers, generals and soldiers who maintain their oaths of office, State Department, passport and visa personnel, and the prosecutors who fight to stop organized crime, corporate corruption, and the violent white nationalist insurrectionists who have attacked our police officers and tried to overthrow our election in 2020. So now this war on government for the people has become a war on the independent federal workforce that we've had since the Pendleton Act passed back in 1883. The targets are the career civil servants who serve our people day in and day out, regardless of who is occupying the White House. Instead of supporting these nonpartisan career civil servants, in his first days in office, Donald Trump has been sacking them, demoting them, and involuntarily reassigning them and violating federal law in the process. DEI and the equal opportunity principle have been a key whipping post since this started. The very first call that I received during this reign of error and terror against the federal workers was from a constituent who works at a federal agency. Her job is to do outreach, to form pools of patients for cancer drug trials and protocols. And one sentence of her several-page job description says that, and she should also do outreach to minority communities to guarantee representative samples. She was qualified or categorized quickly as a DEI hire improperly and then put on administrative leave. And we're hearing tons of stories like that as DEI becomes a catch-all phrase for purging the workforce. He's not just eliminating these people's positions, although he's doing that. He's actively punishing and putting people on administrative leave simply for having worked in any of these programs. So they're trying to turn having done any kind of minority outreach at all as a scarlet letter instead of a badge of honor for any civil servant. But so far, no agency's workforce has incurred the wrath of this authoritarianism and nihilism so much as the Department of Justice, which clearly invited the fury of Donald Trump and his henchmen simply by enforcing the rule of law over the last several years. Within just a few days of taking office, Trump fired a dozen or more career prosecutors on special counsel Jack Smith's team simply for doing their jobs as they were assigned to do, investigating the facts and applying the law. He reassigned dozens more senior career prosecutors, preeminent experts in their fields of law, to a dubious new sanctuary city task force, which doesn't seem to really exist yet, outside of their legal experience and expertise. Trump is demoting and firing longtime top leaders in DOJ's criminal, public integrity, national security, immigration, and civil rights divisions. The people who make sure that DOJ is protecting public safety and the integrity of our elections, and who ensure that government and DOJ officials conduct themselves ethically and with respect for the constitutional rights of all the people. He installed an election denier and defense attorney for January 6th insurrectionary rioters as the acting United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, where he promptly launched an investigation of his own office's career prosecutors for their work in the Capitol riot cases, a clear effort at political vengeance and retribution designed to intimidate and force out experienced career prosecutors. He slashed the career leadership of the FBI across every branch without having experienced replacements ready to take their place, which puts our national security, our public safety, and our cyber security in immediate jeopardy. There are protections in place stopping him from just sacking the entire federal workforce. He's now made in the famous fork in the road memo, which mimics a memo that Elon Musk sent to the Twitter workforce when he took over that company. He's been making false and irresponsible promises and threats of an upcoming hostile political work environment to try simply to coerce and intimidate huge numbers of civil servants into quitting their jobs that we need them in. So our federal servants, including the prosecutors, special agents, investigators, and law enforcement professionals of the Department of Justice, are now bearing the brunt of this furious ideological purge. And their lives and their careers have been plunged into chaos and confusion. This is not about merit. On the contrary, merit is not Donald Trump's goal for the federal workforce. It's his target for demolition in the workforce. Merit is what he's trying to destroy. He doesn't want a merit-based workforce. He wants an army of sycophants and suck-ups who will help turn the federal government into a money-making enterprise for his businesses and the billionaires and oligarchs now running the show. And he's actively working to remove the guardrails that protect against just such a takeover. For example, he's illegally fired at least 17 inspectors general who are the watchdogs against corruption, fraud, waste, and abuse and lawlessness in the federal agencies. He's removed illegally all the Democratic members of the Privacy and Civil Liberties Oversight Board, a bipartisan independent advisory body. He's removed the Democrats on the EEOC and the National Labor Relations Board. He's doing everything possible to dismantle a 150-year-old merit-based civil service system where civil servants are selected on the basis of their experience, their qualifications, and their devotion to serving the public, not one politician. Congress put a stop to the spoils system in 1883 when it passed the Pendleton Act to eliminate the corruption of a federal hiring system based on bribes and blind loyalty to the president. And not only has Congress repeatedly strengthened this law over the decades, but the Supreme Court in cases like Pickering versus Board of Education, Connick versus Myers, and U.S. versus National Treasury Employees Union has emphasized that the First Amendment itself in the Constitution protects public employees from being fired solely because of their personal political views. This nonpartisan, independent professional civil service has served the American people well by promoting the efficient operation of federal agencies and the rule of law across presidencies and transitions. Donald Trump does not seek nonpartisan administration of justice and law. He wants an administration organized around revenge, retribution, and vengeance. And he's willing to risk our public safety and our national security, all to make sure that DOJ's prosecutors and special agents are more loyal to him than to the Constitution and the people. His core constitutional assignment is to take care that the laws are faithfully executed, but he wants to bring most of the government to a screeching and permanent halt along with the laws. We are not going to allow this to happen. The Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee, with my colleagues who are present here today, who you will be hearing from as they do questioning, we are going to try to stop every assault on the rule of law and the Constitution coming at us. We know we're by design in a period of shock and awe and sensory overload. People are just now figuring out what to do with that fork in the road Godfather offer, for example, and we're going to talk about that today. But here's the thing. We are going to see through all of the chaos and these strategies of disinformation and confusion, and we're going to get to the facts. Now, we have assembled an extraordinary panel for you today, and I want to quickly introduce our 5 distinguished witnesses before turning the program over to them. Stacey Young is the founder of the recently created Justice Connection, a group that provides guidance and resources to current Department of Justice employees on employment issues, whistleblowing, and digital and physical security, including doxing and harassment. Ms. Young was, until a few days ago, a career prosecutor at DOJ's Civil Rights Division. She began as a DOJ trial attorney back in 2006. She was the president and co-founder of the DOJ Gender Equality Network, an employee organization that advocated for gender equality and equity at DOJ. Rob Schreiber is the former acting director of the Office of Personnel Management, which manages the entire civil service. Mr. Schreiber is now managing director of Democracy Forward's Civil Service Strong initiative. At Democracy Forward, he provides resources and support for federal civil servants with a primary focus on class action litigation and support for the many federal employees hurt by executive actions. Prior to his time at OPM, he worked as a lawyer with the NTEU, the National Treasury Employees Union, where he represented federal employees in litigation at every level of the courts. Erica Newland is a counsel at Protect Democracy, where she works on ensuring the integrity of the Department of Justice and the protection of federal civil servants. Prior to joining Protect Democracy, Ms. Newland served as an attorney advisor at the DOJ Office of Legal Counsel. Dana Gold is the Senior Director of Advocacy and Strategy and the Director of the Democracy Protection Initiative at GAP, the Government Accountability Project. He's one of the senior leaders of the Government Accountability Project, which specializes in rendering legal assistance to government employees, especially whistleblowers, and ensuring that their disclosures protect democracy and the public interest. And finally, Jim Eisenman is the former executive director of the U.S. Merit Systems Protection Board, the MSPB. He served on the MSPB as its executive director for 6 years and as general counsel for 3. The purpose of this board is to protect the federal merit system and adjudicate complaints brought by federal career workers regarding many types of adverse employment actions. He's an expert on a variety of employment issues, including discrimination, retaliation, and whistleblower claims. He's currently a partner at the Alden Law Group, which works on employment issues in both the private and the public sectors, including federal employment. We could not have assembled a better team